Hey, coaches, Coach Simpson here. I wanted to kind of go through one of the things we do in our practice plans that may be able to help you. It's when we're working on an RPO. And so I want to give you kind of the overview here, show you a little bit of practice film, kind of talk about it a little bit. Sorry for my horrible drawings. That's why I type everything usual, but at least can give you an idea. And then when I show you the film, I hope it'll make some sense for you. But when we're working a RPO pod, which we use the word pod to be kind of a more efficient way of doing groups. And so what you'll see us do a lot of times in our practice schedule is we'll start off with individual drills. Most of the time that's going to put the position with the group they go with. Running backs go with the running back coach, linemen go with the line coach, receivers, receiver coach, quarterbacks, quarterback coach, tight ends, if we have enough coaches, go with their coach. Then we break into whatever series we're working, which usually is some type of pin and pull, or it could be our belly, which a lot of people will call power type of pod. And inside of that, we're usually working like an RPO or a specific kind of concept or play. And when we do that, we put our groups spread out among the field. So a lot of times our tight ends and wings will work together. So let's just say, for instance, on this pod that we're working buck sweep. We work different ones, but that was a pretty common one that we will work and that a lot of guys are interested in. So our tight ends and our wings are over here working with a coach, and they're working on blocking down, because for us on buck sweep, it's gap down backer. So our tight end and wing are looking at different flavors they might be seeing there. You may have a 9 technique, so the tight end's working getting to the second level. The wings handle the 9 technique. They could be working, both of them working down block first level. Could be both working down block second level, just the different flavors they might be seeing on that specific concept. They could be working technique. They could be working scheme. Usually as the season works and progresses on, it's less technique and more scheme, simply because we hope at that point the technique has gotten better. Okay. Our offensive linemen that are not what we call the live players. So a lot of times in our offense, we pull for buck, we would pull both guards, but we may pull one guard, or we may pull a tight end wing, on counter. So our guys that are not pulling are over here with our offensive line coach, and they're generally working the skill that goes with that play. So if we're working, buck sweep, if they're not involved with the live pod, then they're going to be over there working blocking down, because that's what we're doing on buck. If it was a different play, they could be working a base block. If we're running something where they're double teaming, they could be getting that time in. If they're over there with the offensive line coach, working again, same as the tight end wing. It's the skill, the ability to do it, and then the scheme. So maybe looking at the front we are predicting to see Friday night, they're working that. Then you have what we call the live pod, which is what you're going to be seeing a lot of our film on. These are the guys that are involved with the action. So a lot of times it's our running backs and generally our guards, although it could be other players, who are now working to pull. So we're working their skill set to pull. And I've got a bunch of materials out there if you're interested in buck. You can go on my website and get. But for this video, the idea is just how to organize your practice. So our guards, because they are pulling, are going to marry with the running back, who should be reading their block. Our quarterback is involved in that because we're working his RPOs, whether they be to pull and throw the ball, pull and run the ball, whatever it is. He's going to be involved with that mesh, or ignoring the mesh and throwing the screen, or whatever it's going to be. Then over here, we usually will have our receivers working what we're pairing up with that concept. So for buck, we might be working fast screen. We may be working bubble screen. We might be working like a shoot route. We might be working what we call the peak concept, where they're coming across kind of in that void. A lot of people call it a glance route. So we might be working that. They're working something in that world, and we call this a pod. So our kids kind of know, hey, we're going to go to buck pod, and they know where they go. And then we do the same idea for counter pod. For our belly pod, by the end of the year, we usually are able to just say pod, and we can work multiple runs, because at that point, with our guards, quarterbacks, we've kind of got the RPO down, we're working. But that's the basic idea behind it. Let me see if I can share my screen so you can kind of get an idea about what that looks like as far as our practices. So here's kind of an example of one of our practices. So in the screen, you can see our receivers. Get my little drawing thing here. My receivers are over here, and they're working whatever concept is probably a fast screen or some type of bubble or fast screen or whatever it is. Over here is our offensive line. They're working down blocks. So I have my guards with me in the live pod. Over in this area off the screen is where our tight ends and wings are working. And then this, so let me kind of delete all this. This right here is our live pod. You can see the goofy guy right there in the middle. That's me. So what we're working in this pod is our RPO game off of, I believe, buck sweep. So we have our guards involved. So we have one guard here, one guard here. Okay, we are working, our backup guards are generally here. We may be working belly on this, I'm not sure. Our backup guards are here. They usually move to kind of give a flavor of where our guards are going to simulate their block. Let me see, I can delete all that. Okay. All right, and then you can see we also have our running backs involved. So let me get rid of all this. We have our running backs involved, right? This is our quarterback here. And our running backs are offset, and you can see the line kind of behind them. So running backs are working with our quarterback. I believe this actually might be our belly pod, but it's the same idea. You know, our guards are going to be working the run game, they're working. And then the quarterback is going to be reading me. If you'll see, if you look kind of closely here, you know, I've got my hand up and I'm giving him numbers. You know, right now it's just it's just a fist. But then as he snaps the ball, he's going to get something. Maybe it's 5 or 2 or whatever it's going to be. The idea here, this is a young quarterback who became our starter late in the year. I think he was a backup quarterback for us at this point. So he was trying to work on reading the mesh as his eyes were up. So the mesh was clean. He had his eyes on me. And we'll see how well he does. Again, this is practice film from August, so I don't know how great we're going to be at it, but it will at least give you the idea. Okay, so again, here's our pod. Our receivers over here working screens. If you could see in the bottom here, we're working down blocks. Over here, we're working whatever. If this is belly, we're working like our insert. But the idea is the tight end wings are working together. And we are working belly there. You can tell just what we're doing. Again, don't let the play be the idea here, but look at the RPO. So I'll kind of go slow and then pause it. Okay, so right here, he's got a number. The quarterback, should be reading right here. And that's working our RPO. I can change the RPO very simply. I just move. So if I want him to work on reading the inside linebacker, then I would just move back here and he could read the inside linebacker. If I was trying to work on him with the automatics of the screen, I could just move over here and work that. If I want him to read, you know, play side linebacker or whatever we're wanting to RPO off, I could move here. So I control the read simply by moving. Okay, the quarterback's making the read, the guards are working their fits, and the running back is working fitting off of the guard. So we're getting all this work together. So up top, we're pairing, this is our belly play or power play. Our receivers are working the screen, we're going to run with it. So their coach over here walking them through the scheme on that. Our tight ends and wings are down here working their scheme. And then our rest of our offensive linemen are over here with belly, since it's more of a base play for us. They could be on a sled, they could be working on base blocks, whatever's going to fit with that. But you can see, very simple, easy way to get what we call pod work. I'll kind of skip through here a couple of these and give you an idea. And actually, I'm glad I did that because I see something here. So we're also, again, here's our receivers. Okay, this is now the RPO read. I'm wondering if we've moved a player there to be it. But you can see the live pod is in the middle. Okay, that's belly. Here's his RPO read. Quarterback's eyes are on the read. So doing well there. And you can see, again, we're just working how we're fitting. So the running back is actually reading the block of the guard. If you watch him, we're reading this block. If this block turns into this, we always attack half a man. We're working the cut. Okay, so working the cut off of that. Boom. All right, we'll go ahead and stop it here because we also have something going on here. We were blessed this year to have enough coaches. This is actually our defensive line coach, but I would steal him for 5 minutes to come down and work with our quick tackles on our steal period. So this guy, or our steal, is one of our RPOs, or our quick tackle. His job is to block out and then work inside. So right now he's just working his release. So coach is sitting there, he's working his release. Eyes work outside to inside on this. And so it's another way for us to kind of get the same RPO action before we bring them all together. And you have that cluster where one guy is trying to coach, 20 guys. So you have the steal going on over here. The rest of our offensive linemen are over here in the corner. Our tight end wings are over here. And you can see our receivers. We'll do one more clip here, just kind of get an idea. Again, same idea here. The coach is over here throwing the screen. Coach over here throwing the screen. We're working our same idea on belly. And now we're working on how we want to fit until our coach is working on how we're going to fit out here in space. Okay, so again, a pretty simple way to go through as you're organizing your practice. We call that pod time. And we try to do that with any concept we run. You don't have to run the wing tee. You don't have to run the spread. I think any coach just could look at their playbook and figure out, okay, how could I organize our practice to get the most coaching done? Because for us, that's where 95% of our coaching is coming from. How we're working our RPO, how we're working the screen game, how we're working our base block. And then we simply go from that, and we come together and we're going to work that concept. And we can work it a couple times in team, or we can just hit it once or twice if we feel pretty good about how that pod period went. Hopefully you got something from this. Again, got more materials over my website if you're interested, over at fbcoachsimpson.com. If you want to learn specifically about how we do that or see some practice plans, lots of templates over there.